Snap your fingers and click your heels, and before you know it, the summer is gone and there's a new football season right around the corner. And I think every year we can look at it and think this could be the biggest Premier League season ever, but genuinely for so many reasons this one is fitting up to that billing already. With the transfer window activity we've had, Club World Cup and all sorts of other stuff that's transpired and unfolded throughout this summer period, and there is still so much more time to go before a ball is kicked and this season gets underway. But that means one thing at this time of the year, and it is new Sorare cards. Sorare early access cards are dropping for the 25-26 Premier League season for Sorare 26 as it's been billed. And this season has been set up with more ways than ever before for any Sorare manager, either starting out the game brand new or someone who's been around the block once or twice, to win cash, to win money from playing this fantasy football game by hitting hot streaks, which is just a set target, a set score for your five-a-side team. You could finish last in the leaderboard or top, it doesn't matter. And by stringing together consecutive good weeks of streaks back to back with the score and the target kind of lifting, there's even more and more cash to be won off the back of that. And when it gets to that time of the year, as early access cards come out, everyone is getting their scouting caps on and looking to see who's going to be the main movers and shakers, who are going to be the main players in the Premier League this year that are really going to decide the destiny of all the clubs, the ones they're playing for and the ones that they're slaying on the pitch. So I thought I would make a top 5 Premier League Sorare card video for the new season, but the problem I had was once I built one top 5, I ended up building 3. So I've actually got 3 top 5s to go through in this video. At any point, if you do laugh, you learn, you like something or whatever, please do like and subscribe to the channel for more content like this. Get into the comment section down below and let me know who you think is going to be the one that really makes waves in the Premier League season, at the top of the table, fighting against relegation, one of those plucky teams that wins a cup or gets into Europe, or maybe one of the ones that is in Europe. Could they have a good midweek run in, this season? And if you're brand new to Sorare and you've not opened up your account yet, there's a link in the description in this video, also be in the pinned comment, that'll get you 150 euros, pounds, dollars, whatever your currency is, of market credit once you sign up to go out and build your roster, to go and reinforce your squad, build your squad ahead of the new season. It is genuinely the best sign up bonus available that has ever been available, and it's only on by clicking that link that's in the description in this video. No matter when you click on that link, it's always going to be loaded up with the best beginner bonuses available, as long as you sign up directly from clicking on the link that you see down below. By clicking on that link, you do support me and all the content here at the channel. So if you get stuck, or if you've got any questions, jump into the comment section as well, of course, and I'll come in there and help you out. In the description of the video, you'll also find links to all my beginner tutorial videos that will help you learn the ropes and get to grips with the basics. But yeah, let's just get stuck straight into it, because the very first player that had to be on any list, who is the prodigal son, I would say, of Sorare, maybe the chosen one is appropriately is the appropriate title for this guy. He made his move to Man City, played in the Club World Cup. We've been waiting for this guy to fulfill his potential for what feels like eternity, but sincerely probably the thick end of like 7 years at this point. I am talking, of course, about Ryan Mathis-Cherki. Now, Cherki has been a player that has been on the radar of so many football fans across the world for a variety of different reasons. The man is a human highlight reel machine, and he has been absolutely killing it this the last season that's just gone, in the top flight of French football league, with Lyon, who we all know have had their own kind of drama, their own kind of storyline. They did go quite far in the Europa League last year as well, of course, playing against Man United, where Cherki was, unforgiven to Man United, let's say, really put on a showcase. His highlight package of that game in particular was very, very good. But Cherki presents one of the perfect mixtures for fantasy football, for Sorare fantasy football, where he's a forward card that gets decisive actions which make a really big impact to your score, like goals and assists and winning penalties, all that kind of thing. But he's also a guy that, when on the ball, is very effective, whether that be with final third passing to his teammates, or taking people on the dribble, winning contests, getting balls into the box with penalty area entries, as well as shots on goal. The guy is dangerous from anywhere 20 yards in and around the box, and he is not shy to shoot. He knows his ability, he knows his talent, and he is 100 capable, which is, of course, the top score, being 100 out of 100. Now, even in this case, Cherki himself would have actually ranked in with 113.5 points. That's how super prolific he was in this game. And at Pep Guardiola's Man City, I just don't see there being any reality where this doesn't come off as an absolute hit. In the Club World Cup, he was kind of good, bad, on ratings certainly. He scored against Al Ain, and he got assist off the bench against Al Hilal. But I think it bodes really well for Cherki, and sincerely, this is the closest thing to Messi that Pep Guardiola has had since Messi. Now, that's not me saying that Cherki is on the same level as Messi or whatever, but He's the closest thing stylistically that Pep has had post-Messi Barcelona in his career, certainly. And I think the ceiling, the potential for Cherki to fulfil his potential and be under Pep Guardiola with the rest of the Man City team that they've got, the squad that they've got this year does look pretty frightening, especially after the disappointment of last year. And I think Ryan Cherki could easily be one of the names that's on everyone's lips come the end of the season. And that means he's going to have a scoring profile that looks not too dissimilar to this. A guy that is regularly smashing into the 70s and the 80s, 100 capable, can deliver 90s regularly enough as well. And with Man City, you do need to worry about a bit of pep roulette when he plays or whatever, but for the most part, this guy, I would imagine, is going to play a lot of the important matches. He's going to be a decisive match winner, even from the bench. As you can see even here, like coming off the bench against Spain, this is, I think, an under-21s game. No, actually, I think this was actually senior football final. He's made that transition. He can, one decisive off the bench, he'd have still clipped in with 20 all-around points, which would have given him an overall score of 70 from the bench, because he's still, in that short period of time, being really effective off the bench, taking people on the dribble, creating chances, getting shots away, that kind of thing. So a guy that really, like, as long as he plays in a match, you've always got a chance, So Cherki had to be on any list where we're doing with the Premier League. Another favourite of the Sorare scouts and managers all around the world making his move to the Premier League is Florian Wirtz, the big money move of the summer, of course. And Wirtz has been the wonder kid on the block for so long. The invincible Leverkusen season, it could have been almost actual storybook perfect, but for that Europa League final and whatever else, But Florian Wirtz has been a player I've really enjoyed watching over the last 4 years or 5 years or whatever it might be, as I'm sure is the same can be said for many a football fan out there. He doesn't really need an introduction. He does everything we were just chatting about with Cherki there, but he's much more of like an attacking midfielder. There's no way in a month of Sundays that Florian Wirtz is not going to be a first name on the team sheet type player for Liverpool. And with Jeremy Frimpong also coming into the squad, who's like his best buddy, and the rest of the squad is in a really good shape, existing or reigning Premier League champions and all the rest of it. I just don't see Wirtz not working out well in the Premier League and at Liverpool, and that means we can expect this, I would imagine, a very similar scoring profile to what we've seen for him at Leverkusen. Very decisive heavy, gets lots of goals, lots of assists, takes his man on a dribble, breaks through the lines, and is always looking for assists, so is always creating chances, playing balls into the box, that kind of thing. So for the front three that is going to be in front of him at Liverpool, or maybe even he'll join the front three, but Luis Diaz now leaving for Bayern Munich, it looks like. Maybe they'll sign someone else, of course, but even in that kind of situation, Wirtz, I think, is really solid this year and is going to be one of the names that's on everyone's lips again in the Premier League this year. A guy that only 22 years of age. Cherki's 21, so I think he's been on the scene in first team football since 15, so that's like 6 years. For Wirtz, I think he really came onto the scene when he was 17, so about 5 years. These guys have been around the block, have got a lot of first team football experience under their belts, and are moving to top of the food chain clubs where the conditions are ripe, the conditions are perfect for them to really hit the ground running and continue to progress their career. Maybe the jury is out a little bit for number 3 in the list, Victor Gyökeres, because he has been a bagsman. He has been a goal-scoring machine at Sporting Lisbon, at Portugal. Of that, there is no question, there is no doubt. And Arsenal badly need their Erling Haaland. They badly need their finisher, their guy that will just get these goals in those games where Arsenal haven't been getting them over the last couple of years, and can maybe even add some confidence and add some dominance into the team as a whole by having that type of weapon in their arsenal, pardon the expression. Now I'm kind of jury's out. I think Gyökeres really could just replicate. This is a guy that could score 30-35 goals in the right conditions. He is a bagsman. He is a predator in the box. He's strong. He's got a good instinct, and his finishing has been proven at a really credible level. The worry with the Premier League is the players that come from Portugal and Holland in particular, sometimes France to a lesser extent. The worry is, is the Premier League level, the intensity, the physicality too much for them? And I think Gyökeres, he's already played in England. He's already had that kind of feel of what it's like in UK native football, if you like. So I think he's better prepared than most, and I think that has played a part in his development at Sporting Lisbon, where he's been involved at the top end of the title, crunched derby games and everything else. So I don't know if he'll quite smash 90s and 100s and whatever, because you're talking about 4 decisives happening, but I think he could very much be a guy that lives between 60 and 80. a lot of the time through the season, and especially when Arsenal do play those midweek games against maybe some of the minnows, it could be a wee bit of a cheat code. Now, just like Arsenal are maybe acquiring a missing link this year, I also think João Pedro is a bit of a missing link for Chelsea. Nicholas Jackson was a baffling transfer that it happened, I think, for every Sorare scouting manager, certainly, that had seen Nicholas Jackson play for Villarreal, and it kind of did transpire that way, where he wasn't really that convincing. And João Pedro, maybe his tail of the tape here isn't like blindingly like, oh yeah, this guy's going to be fantastic, but parachuted into the Club World Cup, of course, really helped them seal the title in that regard. And a guy that is Premier League proven already and has shown that he's got proper ability in this league with a plucky, and that's not to be derogatory, but it's just where Brighton team. I think with Cole Palmer and the supporting cast at Chelsea have got a quality squad. I think we all know that, but they have been missing that focal point to bring the attack together. And I think João Pedro could really be not just a guy that fits the bill, but, you know, goes above and beyond the job description, if that makes sense. And alongside Cole Palmer and that supporting cast, again, because this guy is a bit more of a footballer than Geiger is, I think with one decisive, you know, he's very liable to score 10 or 15 points. He takes on dribbles, he plays in other people for chances. There's other teammates that will take shots like Cole Palmer that will give him attempted assists and everything else like that. So I think he's a bit safer than Geiger is, although Chelsea have got such a big squad, and Chelsea are just always a bit... You know, Arsenal are like the kind of bridesmaids of recent years, aren't they? And Chelsea is just the kind of wild card. Like, who knows really what's going to happen with them this year? But I do think he is a really strong candidate to be one of the potential kind of signings of the year, as it were. Now, he's not coming from another league externally into the league like the top three were, and that's the same for number 5. And that's because I think the impact of João Pedro and Matheus Cunha will be very much felt on the club and the fans of that they're going to here. Cunha has been a one-man wrecking machine at Wolves. I'm a big Matheus Cunha fan from all the way back when he was at Salzburg. I've seen him playing against Celtic. He went to Leipzig, Atletico Madrid, obviously Wolves in the end as well. And in the Premier League, I just knew, and I've got content, you can go back and check it on the channel. It won't be hard to find at all. Saying Man United should have signed Matheus Cunha from Atletico Madrid. He was the exact sort of player that they would have needed, and it was maybe just a wee bit of ignorance or snobbery that you know, buying a guy from Atletico Madrid's bench is not really the solution to their problems. But with the transition he's made into the Premier League with Wolves, he's been playing wide left and counter-attacking, playing with one or two guys in counter-attack. Man United are probably going to play a similar way, but he's also a high-quality forward that can play intelligent football, that can open chances up. So again, a guy that, even in the matches where he's not scoring a goal, as you can see, he's quite consistently capable of bringing in around 10 all-around points, which means with one decisive, you're consistently looking at that kind of 73 score, which for a forward is like the, I don't want to say it's the golden zone as if it's like great or anything, but you need a guy that can deliver that without too much of a stretch of the imagination. And Man United not playing midweeks this year, I think Matheus Cunha going weekend to weekend with the supporting cast that Man United have, and for what he's done already at Wolves, like, come on, like, how does he not do kind of the exact same, if not maybe 30% better at Man United? I find it hard to imagine. So I think Matheus Cunha, depending on where his prices go for his early access Sorare cards, could be like the, I don't want to say budgets, he certainly won't be cheap, you know, but like compared to a lot of these other guys we've just looked at and some of the other ones that made the other top 5s I've got, he might be one of the cheaper ones around. But then, in that same kind of spirit, this is where the next top 5 kind of spawned out. And this is players that should be, again, cheaper than the top tier, the top echelon card in the league, but still could pack that kind of scoring punch. But they're not quite as convincing as like the Cunhas and the João Pedros. And one of them ones that really motivated me for the second list was Mohamed Kudus. This is a player I've been a big fan of, and I thought West Ham did really well to sign him. He's been pretty good for West Ham, but as you can see from his scoring here, he is a midfielder, so you know this guy would probably be a better fantasy football option as a forward, but as a midfielder, especially a guy involved in a front three, I think his decisive output, the amount of goals and assists, penalties won that he generates this season for Tottenham, will exceed what he had at West Ham. Tottenham will also be playing in the Champions League as well. I'm not too sure about Thomas Frank, but one thing I am fairly certain on is Tottenham will do a lot better in the league than they did last year. Mohamed Kudus will be an important first team player for them, and this is a guy very similar to everyone else we spoke about in the video to this point, that takes on dribbles, that gets into the box, makes chances for other people, and does take shots from in and around the 20-yard area. So as a midfielder card, like, he's maybe not got as high as a floor, like he can kill a team, but, and based on previous scoring here, you can see like, oh, he's not maybe going to make an exceptional team, but if you see when he does really get into, like when West Ham were playing well, you know, like he can deliver those 90s. He can, with 2 decisives, granted, he's done it in the past, but there's even matches in here, as you can see, against Leverkusen, where without a decisive, he's really put in a big shift on both sides of the ball, which I think is an important element here as well. So I think you could get something like prime Mohamed Kudus scores from what we've got on this page here, replicate itself at Tottenham. And again, for the sort of price you're going to find his Sorare early access card for, I think that makes him quite appealing. Since we've come on to record this video, it's just been breaking news essentially that Granit Xhaka has made the move to Sunderland, and I think Granit Xhaka is nailed on a lot of game weeks, a lot of Premier League match days this season to get like 200 passes or whatever. I think all the ball is going to flow through him. This is a really strong midfielder that doesn't really rely midfielder that doesn't really rely upon pace, but does win tackles, does win duels and interceptions, that sort of thing. And yeah, he's maybe not always getting shots away unless they're from 35 yards or whatever. He might not take every set piece, although I think he will take a significant portion of them. But again, let's see where his price goes. But because Sunderland will be at the bottom of the table, I think the expectation will be he might not score as well as he does for a top of the table level Leverkusen. But the fact is, at Sunderland, he's going to be involved in more actual match play, where he's going to have to be dueling, winning the ball back, getting it from deep, playing it forward, that kind of thing. So I actually think the change in league and circumstance, if he is the main guy, the main playmaker, which I kind of expect him to be at this point, I think Granit Xhaka will be a quietly super effective midfielder you can just play every game week, because if you're aiming for those streaks, you're just looking for some guys to just deliver something. You might have some stars and some tough captain choices to make or whatever, but if you can get a midfielder that doesn't drop below 56, 57, it gives you a great place to build the rest of the team around. And if he can deliver with one decisive, something a lot more impressive, then that's a great option to have, and I think Granit Xhaka kind of will be that guy. And if you're thinking, that's quite an exciting profile, Quinny, but is there someone that is in that same kind of mould that's just came to the Premier League perhaps as well, that is maybe a bit of a stronger team? Let's say they'll finish a bit higher, it's a bit safe to assume that. And there is Martin Zubimendi. Now, Martin Zubimendi, I've watched a lot of Sociedad for my sins over the last 2 years, and Zubimendi, I've not got really too much worries about his adaptation into the Premier League either. I think he will get a significant pass count at Arsenal, and he is a guy that's defensively effective, a Spain international. He's played Champions League, he's played Europa League, he's been a mainstay player for a pretty poor Sociedad, poorly managed Sociedad, let's say, over the last couple of years. And I think playing under Arteta, the whole Arsenal thing, I think Zubimendi will be a quietly punchy scorer, for Arsenal, because again, I think their defensive record will be really good this year, and Zubimendi is of the level to do the job they need him to, and I think he will. I think he'll be very effective. But because he's not Odegaard, he's not Rice, he's not Saka, whoever else, his price might not actually be too bad. It may be quite affordable for a lot. And again, if you've got that kind of safe midfielder in there, you can maybe take a risk up front, or maybe, see what you can do with defenders. Because there is some defenders that might just spark, that might just peak their faces off. Now, I did want to put Ryan Ait-Nouri into this, but I thought it's maybe a bit too easy, just picking another Man City guy, a Man City defender no less. And I do think Ryan Ait-Nouri will be amazing, but I don't really think he'll be too cheap. But in that same sort of vein, fullbacks can really hit a phenomenally high score because they get really involved defensively. If there is a clean sheet or you don't concede very many goals, that all kind of scores out pretty well. But if they can be attacking, if they can actually influence the game, can get into the final third and get those extra attacking points that defenders get even greater rewards for, then you're onto a really sweet option for fantasy football. And I know a lot of Sorare scouts and managers are really excited to see in the Premier League Maxime de Kuiper, who has went to Brighton. Now, this guy has been bubbling away in Belgium at a couple of different clubs, been on loan, but ultimately coming through the Bruges system. A fullback that with one decisive is capable of getting to 100. Again, I had the pleasure of watching this guy up close and personal when Celtic took on Bruges, and he is like a super attacking left back. Brighton playing away to accommodate players like him. Pervis Estupiñán is just left for AC Milan, of course. The big question mark is, can De Kuiper make that step up to the Premier League? Only time will tell, sadly. I think because of his age and his kind of relatively low profile, he's not coming in from Real Madrid or something like that, he might be quite economic, when it comes to his early access cards on Sorare. But he's a guy that, certainly as a fullback, they've always got the potential to kill your team, and I think the Kuiper will kill some teams if he's selected, don't get me wrong, but to have a defender up your sleeve, depending on the price point he comes in at, might be, could be, should be capable of having a good match and bringing in a 70 plus score, or having 1 or 2 matches a year where they actually do deliver the 100 is an option that I think a lot of people could consider. And it's maybe one that you need to see a match or two before seeing if he's a guy for you and your fantasy football team, but he's certainly one that had to make a top 5 of like new faces coming into the league. Now, in a very similar situation, but in a totally different situation at the same time, we have Adrien Truffier. Now, Adrien Truffier has been, like, if you've ever seen Theo Hernandez play in France, he's very much just likened to Theo Hernandez. Again, same as De Kuiper, a very attacking left back. Kerkez has obviously left Bournemouth and went to Liverpool, and they've went and replaced Kerkez with Truffier, the 23-year-old French youth international. And again, Rennes were stinking last year. And this is a fullback that's doing 100 scores. And against St Etienne, that's even without scoring a goal or making an assist or anything like that. Very present in the final third. A significant amount of points captured from passing, but also that defensive stuff. Winning duels, gaining interceptions, winning tackles, making clearances. And, you know, the guy's absolutely ran away with it in this game here. A guy that should be able to make the step up to the Premier League. But Bournemouth are kind of that middle ground team where, you know, you're kind of looking at the same kind of thing as Xhaka, where you just know you can play them every weekend and you're just kind of crossing your fingers for, is this a game where they hit a big one, you know, where they really deliver a big score for me. And fullback defenders, that's kind of the main reason to buy them. You could put Jeremy Frimpong into this category as well, because there is some chat going around that Frimpong is also seen by Liverpool to be a Mo Salah kind of rotation option, as it were. But again, I thought that might be a bit too easy talking about a Liverpool player. But Truffier could be quite cheap and quite under the radar. And again, Kerkez did pretty well at Bournemouth, didn't he? So by all accounts, he could just walk into those shoes and score just as well. But then I got to the point of having these 2 top 5s and thinking, I can't do a top 5 without actually naming the monsters, the actual guys that are going to rip the league apart in the sense of actually on the pitch and in the SO5 leaderboards be the most ever-present premium top shelf cards. Now, I've called this the boring top 5. We have Rodri returning from injury. Now, Rodri is a behemoth on Sorare. He gets all sorts, he just does everything really, doesn't he? He's the perfect midfielder, the reigning Ballon d'Or holder, who has not really had the opportunity to be the reigning Ballon d'Or holder on the pitch, as it were, and I wildly expect Rodri to return, to resume where he was, if not even maybe push on a little bit. We see that with some top end players that come back from a big injury. They have that extra first, that extra motivation to really clip on, which is one of the main reasons I think Rodri, like, this list has to be mentioned, because Rodri will do this for me, if not better. Tijani Reinders beside him. We mentioned Cherki and the arsenal that Man City have. Like, Man City could have SO5 wise a severely dominant year, and if they do, Rodri is going to be right in the centre of that. Now, Liverpool are the reigning champions of the Premier League. Mo Salah doesn't have a contract dispute this year. They've signed Ekitike. They might sign Alexander Isak. They've signed Florian Wirtz and Jeremy Frimpong and Kerkez, of course. And there's really no reason to imagine that Mo Salah drops in form from last year. But I do think with the tragedy that's kind of befell the Liverpool community and really everyone in football of Diego Jota, the fact that they're reigning Premier League champions and the fact that the squad has levelled up, despite everything I've just said there about Man City, if there's going to be a team that exceed Man City this year, I think it could be Liverpool. They really do have everything going for them. And if Liverpool do have that kind of season, Florian Wirtz, who made the earlier top 5, of course, is going to be a big part of that. But we all know it's really going to be Salah, you know, that could just be raining in 90s and 100s every game week. Genuinely could be getting triple, quadruple decisives and a significant amount of match days across the season. Regardless of age, I think it's just going to be a great year for Liverpool, and Salah is just going to be absolutely slaying it. And it's almost a copy and paste job for Cole Palmer, who was the be-all and end-all of Sorare for a little while. Like, he was just absolutely frightening when he first moved to Chelsea, like an actual 100 machine at times. But then Chelsea's kind of quality and problems kind of maybe derailed it. The rotation you see here where he's missing matches is the Conference League, which he didn't play last year, which didn't really benefit him too much, as you can see here. But now with João Pedro in the building, Enzo Fernandez levelling up, and whatever else is going on in and around Chelsea, it's kind of safe to imagine that Cole Palmer again is going to be multi-decisive capable, takes all the set pieces and is the main man in terms of playmaking. and surely is going to be consistently smashing out 90 plus scores. And you can see why I called this the boring list, because in number 4 is Bruno Fernandes. Now, the main reason I do want to feature Bruno Fernandes in this list and in the video is because, quite simply, Man United, like I mentioned with Quinny, do not have midweeks this year, and for all the problems they've had going on Man United, that is one of the biggest blessings that guys like Bruno Fernandes are probably going to need this year. A guy who takes all the set pieces, is multi-decisive capable, and is a weekend-only player, and there's a lot of value and there's a lot of utility to be had in that. A guy that, make no mistake about it, alongside Rodri, Palmer, Salah, is going to be amongst the most expensive cards in the league, but I think that's only going to be for good reason. And I think to finish off the top 5, it only feels appropriate to put Bukayo Saka, because Arsenal will... we're thinking about Liverpool and Man City in a great context here, but Arsenal have really did some fantastic business for their own squad, and Saka is a guy that, again, is 100 capable, is maybe in Ballon d'Or contention for a lot of Arsenal fans, and Arsenal have been missing guys that score goals. Saka's assist output could quadruple, could go off the charts this year, and like I mentioned with Gyökeres earlier, just that extra strength and composure, having that arrowhead forward can give a team, can just produce more goals, because they're more dominant and comfortable, confident, taking opportunities for one another, that sort of thing. And if someone is going to be the primary beneficiary from all of this Arsenal growth, Saka already has 100s in his bag. I was already showing that he is, as a midfielder and a forward card, very effective at Arsenal, and again, it's going to be hard to see past him. He's probably going to be the cheapest of this boring list, but again, a player that you cannot write off. On screen, and now some other stuff that I've made that YouTube thinks you might enjoy. I hope you've enjoyed this one, guys. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button for more content like this. Hit the like button, of course, if you enjoyed the video. Get into the comment section and let me know who missed out on this list that should have been in it. I always look forward to catching those comments as well. Look forward to seeing you on the next video, of course. Stay out of trouble, and yeah, I'll catch you on the next one. Take care. Bye-bye.